you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now, it's Judge. Probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. Another top 10 as we're in the thick of the offseason, getting close. But the man that I hand the ball to, or pass the ball and passes me the ball to, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, last week we went over our NBA top duos. Now we're doing point guards. And this is a list that it took me a while, and I do have to balance regular season and postseason just like I did with duos. But I've come to a list I think I'm pretty confident in.
Yeah, I did this list. I looked at another list, and this is kind of taken in last season, but I think there's a clear number one. But also, do I have a shooting guard?
Yeah, Kyrie, right?
Wait a minute. He's number one?
No, you said a shooting guard is a point guard, which is Kyrie.
Yeah, do I have that on this list? Kyrie is a good example. I don't have Kyrie. Kyrie's probably an honorable mention.
I do have Kyrie on my list.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Luka is on my list, so I considered him a point guard. But does that mean Kyrie's not point guard?
I have Kyrie still as a point guard because he played point guard last season as well.
Yeah.
So
it's confusing because there's situations like that. You also have Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Which one's the point guard?
Say again?
Which one's the point guard, Trae Young or DeJounte Murray?
It's tough. It's really who plays point guard, if you know what I mean. The league is doesn't really have a set there are no positions. It's a positionless sport. So I don't have Trae or DeJounte on my list.
Okay. DeJounte's my 10.
Okay.
So
I think that's fair. But that's your shooting guard as a point guard?
Or no. Mine was like a question. Do I have a guy that's listed as a point guard that you consider a shooting guard?
No, but I do think he is a shooting guard that I would consider a point guard. Because last year he technically played shooting guard, but like you said, is he a shooting guard? No, I still consider him a point guard.
Yeah. So that may happen on this list. Kyrie was the guy I was thinking of, but I was like, I like Luka. Luka, I consider the point guard. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's that. So yeah, DeJounte Murray's my 10.
Okay, my 10 is James Harden. Harden, I think you may have him a little bit higher, but I think he's top 10. He's a very good passer. He can put up points when it matters, but also he has those games where he's kind of floundered and struggled.
Yeah, so James Harden's actually a guy I consider shooting guard.
He's played point guard the last 4 or 5 seasons primarily. Since 18-19 to now, that's 5 years. Or I guess 4 years in every one of those seasons except for one he played point guard. So I consider him a point guard because last year Maxey, I believe, was the shooting guard. Yeah, I just looked it up. Maxey was the shooting guard on that team. The fact that Harden averages so many assists, he plays like a point guard.
Okay. But so I viewed him more as a shooting guard, so that's why he's not on this list. But so James Harden, I understand that though. As a point guard, he's top 10.
Yeah. My number 9 is Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday affects the game so well on both sides of the ball. His ability to pass has really improved over his career, but it's really his defense that shines and gets him into the top 10.
Yeah, Drew Holiday's a little bit higher on my list. My 9 is Jalen Brunson. I don't know how well he does in the playoffs, but he, of course, had that 41-point game for the Mavs. Then this year, he's incredible. Really helped the Knicks. Solid point guard. He just hasn't done enough for him to be higher.
Yeah, Brunson's not on my list, but I understand him on yours. Who's your 8?
My 8 is Damian Lillard, so I know I'm low, probably, on Damian Lillard.
A little bit, but
just the past 2 seasons, I think, put him lower on this list for me.
yeah, I understand that. My number 8 is Jamal Murray. Murray is so good in the playoffs, but I do think his regular season leaves a little bit to be desired. But again, he's just so talented. Once you got past him, it's really hard to put guys in my top 7 point guards. So I think there's really a tier upgrade once you pass Murray. Murray could definitely move up easily if he starts to play like he does in the playoffs. In the playoffs, I do think he's a top 5 point guard. He's a lot better than many people realize, and he's a big part of why the Nuggets won a championship last year and are my favorites heading into next season. But balancing both, he's my number 8.
Okay. Who's your number 7?
My 7 is De'Aaron Fox. Fox is the best player on a playoff team. Finally, the Kings have made it. He averaged 25, 6, and 4 last year. He still needs to improve his shooting. He only shot 32% from 3, but his ability to consistently make shots on other parts of the court, averaging 51.2% from the field, is remarkable.
Yeah, you and I are going to have some fun lists. My 7 is Halliburton. I think he's low on this one because he's just young, and these guys ahead of him have more experience.
Okay. Who's your next?
My next is, these are guys you mentioned. I have Drew Holiday. I really like him defensively. You talked about enough passing, but he just has more experience. Really love him defensively, and I think he does well for the Bucks as well as passing.
Yeah, Drew Holiday is talented, so I can kind of get him above, but again, you have him at 7, right? And my top 7 is kind of where I draw that line that I don't know. My number 6 is Dame. This is mainly because of his defense. As a friend pointed out when I showed him this list, I was trying to figure it out because I was so close. 4, 5, 6 are just so close. I think you get a tier up even from Fox with these 4, 5, 6 guys. But because of defense, I put Dame as the lowest one of this group. My number 5 is Halliburton. Halliburton's so talented. His shooting splits 49, 40, 87, I believe. Yeah, 87, while averaging 10.4 assists. He's such a good passer, and even though he's young, his splits are amazing. He can shoot the 3 ball. He can make any type of shot. He passes outstandingly. He does not turn the ball over as much as a lot of other passers. Only 2.5 turnovers per game, which is remarkable. He does not turn over the ball at all. He's intelligent. So even though he is younger, he plays like an older player. And he would have averaged more assists if he didn't get hurt last season.
Yeah. He's definitely going to skyrocket this list probably this upcoming year, next year. I just wanted to see a little bit more. My 5 guy is Jamal Murray. We talked about him in the duos list, and just the experience level for me, that's what kind of put these guys above Halliburton for me. But I totally understand having Halliburton higher than the guys I've said.
Even though Murray averages a little over 20 points in the regular season. Murray's regular season play, I don't think lends itself well to these type of lists. He's just so much different in the playoffs. We've seen that with a couple of other players because I can think of, even Jokic turned up his game. He went from 26, 12, and 9 to 30, 14, and 10. So I do think that the discrepancy between those two is the playoffs and regular season does matter.
Okay. Who's your 5? Or is it my turn?
No, my 5 was Halliburton.
Okay, your five's Halliburton. Okay, my four is De'Aaron Fox. So you and I kind of flip flop. Really like De'Aaron Fox. Came up big this year for a lot of the reasons you said. Um, and I like him a little bit more than Jamal Murray, even though Jamal Murray has a little bit.
The concerning part about Fox is his shooting. I do think it kind of caps the ceiling of the Kings because you don't really have to guard him at the 3-point line as hard as you do the rest of the guys on my list.
That's fair. It was really, I kind of view like I have 4, 5, and 6 are just a little bit. No, 4 through 7 are close for me. Then 8 through 10 is like a different level.
I do say the top 3 is, I don't think, arguable, but we'll get to that when we do. Who's your next guy?
Who's your 4?
It's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
My 4 is Kyrie. You mentioned that you don't have Kyrie on your list, but Kyrie averaging as many points as he does. I still have him as a point guard. He played point guard last season for the Nets, so I still count it. If he plays shooting guard this whole next season, I could see the argument against it. But when Luka's on the court, he'll obviously be a point guard, and it's really confusing. Again, basketball is so positionless that I don't think it necessarily matters when both players are on the court if they're both a true point guard, like if that's what they play like. So yeah, I have Kyrie, and then my number 3. This is really when we're up a tier. In the top 3, we're so close to me. I really could not. It is hairs separating these guys. I have SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I almost put him above Luka, but I'm going to give Luka the benefit of the doubt that last year was just a fluke and that he'll stop crying to refs and start playing better on defense. But Shai can play defense. He can pass. He can shoot. And even though he's not the best shooter from 3, he just is so uber efficient. He shoots a crazy amount of free throws, 11 per game, but makes 90% of them, 90.5. He shot 34.5% from 3, which is about league average, which is fine. But he also averaged 1.6 steals, 1 block. Not many point guards are averaging over a block and over a steal. He's the best shot blocker from a guard since Dwayne Wade, in my opinion. Also averaging 5 assists or 5.5 assists and 4.8 rebounds. He's just so good. And I could see, again, I predicted this before we even started the channel, but OKC is the most championships in the 2020s. I do think still could happen because of this man right here.
Yeah, I agree with you very much. Shared similar struggles with Shai and Luka. So Shai's my 3 and Luka's my 2. So yeah, we're disagreeing on like the 4 through 10. But it seems like we have a pretty good eye on top 3.
Yeah, and I said that right before we got here. I don't think it's really all that much of a discussion who the top 3 is. At least I could see an argument for any of 2 or 3 being 2 or 3. I could see Shai above Luka. I honestly could. But it's easily Curry at 1.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you could argue otherwise. His impact on the game is something we have not seen ever. And the fact that he can still be this proficient at his age, remarkable.
I agree. I was like, man, who's going to be my number 1 point guard? And I was like, oh, yeah, Curry's the point guard. It didn't click for me. And I was like, yeah, Curry's number 1. Even with the injuries, he's incredible. I think there's always that fear of when he gets hot. He's just unstoppable. Luka, to me, struggles on defense. I think that's going to change this year, but we'll have to see. I think it's just a conditioning aspect, but Curry is just incredible. I think it's fair to say he's one of the best point guards to do it.
Oh, easily. It's not really a conversation that he's one of the best, and there's a serious argument for him being number 1.
Yeah. So I think that's really fair. I was curious. I was like, man, is my list super different from Austin's? It was, but you and I just had the same players, just different places. I only didn't have Kyrie Irving or James Harden.
Yeah, but those 2 were mainly because of disagreements position-wise. So
Yeah.
I do kind of understand why we had those disagreements. But then again, you had DeJounte when I didn't, and that's a shooting guard versus a point guard, and it's tough, especially because the NBA has moved away from you can only be one position on the team, because I could definitely see Luka being anything from a point guard to a small forward because of his size and his ability to really attack anyone on defense. The problem, like you said, is or on offense. The problem is his defense.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, really good. And Dame, like I feel bad putting Dame this low, but just recently he hasn't played well. He's dealt with injuries, and yeah, I feel also with Shea. It's just he's. I don't know if many people if are going to be shocked when listening to this, but I just feel he's going to definitely come on the scene this year.
Even more, I think the Thunder are. We'll get to our NBA predictions sooner rather than later, and you'll see how much I believe in this Thunder team. And the West is so good, but Shea is really. I see his avenue to becoming the best point guard in the league, and that's because of, like I said, 1.6 steals, 1 block, while averaging 31, 6 and 5 on good splits is not something you can see every day.
Yeah, I agree. And we both don't have Chris Paul. I think he's just a little bit too old now.
That's true, and he also was inefficient last year. You didn't have Trae Young either?
No, I didn't have Trae Young either. No.
Okay, so we both agree on that. His inability to shoot the ball efficiently really does tank him down my list. When your primary job is to shoot and you shoot 33% from three, he's a great passer, but as a top 10 point guard, you have to offer more. And I do think that he kind of caps the Hawks' potential whenever he does take those wild shots and misses.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Curry. He's such an incredible shooter, but he's also a pretty good defender.
Yeah, and you can't necessarily just ISO him out and get him to be in a mismatch easily. And the Warriors have definitely helped him out with that, but he is just so remarkable as a shooter that you can't take him off the floor no matter what.
Yeah, so I think that's all we got. We appreciate you listening. Let us know if you disagree with us, if we have a shooting guard on our list. I think that's a really interesting discussion. And stay on our socials. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.